Saturday morning, the Experts program kicks off here on Power Talk Radio, and our tech expert, Luis Alvarez, is joining us right now. Hello, Luis.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
Doing really well. It's Saturday. Lots going on around the area. And in fact, before we hit the main topic today, we want to make sure we mention this. In a little less than an hour, the famous fishing boat, the Western Flyer, is going to be re-arriving to its home port of Monterey. And there's quite a story behind that boat. You're going to be part of the welcoming committee that brings the Western Flyer back in. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so the Western Flyer is, for those of you that don't know, John Steinbeck's famous boat that he sailed into the Sea of Cortez, wrote several books about his adventures on that boat. Over the years, after John Steinbeck passed away, the boat went different places, fell into disrepair, ended up in the Pacific Northwest, where a philanthropist decided to invest in fixing it up and turning it into now a boat that's going to be used for marine biology studies, and it's coming to Monterey to be part of a local nonprofit that's going to maintain it and take care of it. And it comes in tomorrow. It's going to be sailing into the bay tomorrow. And
you mean on Saturday?
Several of us, rather Saturday.
Which is today.
Yeah,
so at 11 o'clock this morning.
So 11 o'clock this morning. So it's going to be coming in today, and several of us are going to be out there on our boats, bringing it in, a little regatta to welcome the Western Flyer back home.
And what's really neat about it is it's been renovated, rebuilt, so it can operate as a working boat. It's not going to be put on display. They're not going to dry dock it and turn it into a museum piece, which it could be, but there's still a lot of utility for it to do the work that it's going to do. So where will it be permanently moored?
So it's going to be in the bay. I'm not sure if it's going to be over probably it's going to be over in the private marina, which is close to the Coast Guard area, because that's where they have space big enough for it. Okay. It's a relatively large boat, so it's going to need some room. But I know for a few weeks while it's here, they're going to open it up to let people come visit it. So just follow along. There's a nonprofit called the Western Flyer Foundation that you can look up online and learn more about it.
And where is it right now? And I guess it's obviously on its way down here from wherever it was, but where was it that they rebuilt it?
Up in the Puget Sound area. So in Port Townsend originally, and up in Washington State.
Okay, so they're sailing it down from Washington State.
Yep.
So it's probably somewhere off the Northern California coast right now.
Yeah, it's north of San Francisco someplace. I'm sure it's stopped along the way several times, but it's going to be heading in to Monterey, like I said, tomorrow early afternoon. So hopefully people will come on down and take a look at it.
Sounds great. All right, Luis, let's dive into our main topic here, and that comes from Microsoft Start. The story is that a hacker has stolen almost 1 million lines of DNA info from 23andMe and then tried to sell it. Apparently, they were not successful. Was the hacker caught, and what's going on with this?
So this actually was something that happened earlier in October, and 23andMe, which is a company that provides DNA testing for people. You can pay $150 or $199 and get your DNA tested and find out all sorts of things about your genetics, including your predisposition to certain types of ailments, and also your history, like where you're from and where your genetics originate from. So that database was breached by hackers, and they were able to exfiltrate several million accounts of information that they then have put up for sale on the dark web. And they claim that these DNA profiles include profiles of some of the top business people and celebrities and other people who took advantage of the 23andMe service to kind of find out a little bit more about themselves. And that's kind of scary when you think about it, because even though you might be interested in your DNA and where you originated from and potentially what kind of diseases you might be susceptible to, that's not something you generally want to share with the public or share with anybody else. So the idea that they have this information and that they're willing to sell it for the right price is scary. And the lack of communications from 23andMe is also concerning to a lot of people.
Sure. And one of the other things about this that is also very scary is that the hackers seem to be really interested specifically in selling data on quote-unquote notable public figures with Jewish ancestry. So that's a really scary element part of this. It could even be like a terroristic element.
Absolutely. Some people don't want to reveal where they're from and don't like the idea that maybe that can be used against them for whatever reason. And, privacy is privacy. That's why you have laws like HIPAA that guard your healthcare information, and the idea that somebody might use information about your genetics to either blackmail you and saying, hey, we're going to release this information that nobody knows about you unless you pay us, or potentially, sell it to, as we know, there's lots of folks out there that like to make hay around celebrities and around famous people, and they're willing to pay for the information that gives them some insight into people that are famous. And this is not something that even if you're not famous, you would want coming out. So imagine if you are somebody that's a notable public figure.
Right. And I think with the problem with the company, with 23andMe not talking about this right now very much at all, is they're obviously stymied as to what they're going to do to fix the problem. And they haven't figured out what their public face to the public is going to be about this. They may be scrambling, trying to figure out how this happened and then how they can protect people's DNA information, that database. And there are probably obviously some holes in their security.
Yep, absolutely. At least, something that they're trying to address probably before they go public with the details, because they don't want to go public and then still have that particular vulnerability, for example, open. So you're right. I mean, I think they're being quiet for a reason, and hopefully whatever that reason is will sooner rather than later reveal itself and we can get more information about it. But right now, those guys are still free and still have that data.
Right. And I guess for anyone who's listening to us who has used 23andMe, should they be concerned that their information could be compromised? And what can they do, if anything at all, in a defensive posture?
Well, first off, 23andMe is a great service, and I would not say that if you're interested in it, don't use it. I've used it. Ronnie has used it, and we like the information we get from it. But we also take precautions, like I use multi-factor authentication, which is something that's available to you in terms of logging into the service, because you don't want somebody hacking into your account and guessing your password. So I would enable MFA. And then also there's an option in there for you to share automatically your information with relatives or near relatives. And maybe you turn that feature off so that people who get hacked can't get access to your information using this kind of like, hey, you're my third cousin twice removed or something feature, which is available with 23andMe. So go in and review your settings and make sure that you're only sharing what you want to share with the people that you want to share it with.
Okay. One of the things that we're probably going to see at some point with all these incursions that happen in various sites is that oftentimes when you set up an account with a site, everything's been opted in for you. And that means, as you mentioned, shareable type information. You have to go in and opt out of that. You have to turn that feature off. I think we're going to get to a point down the line where we're going to see laws passed that are going to tell these companies, hey, other than the most basic information when the person signs up, anything else you want them to do, they have to opt in. There will be no more opting out. And I wonder if we're going to be heading in that direction.
That's already happening in places like the European Union, where privacy there is much more protected than in the United States. So places, social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram have to default to the tightest security levels that they offer for new users. And those have to be undone by the folks that want to open up their accounts. So as Europe goes, they say, and California is also looking at those kind of regulations for social media and other tech companies. So I agree with you. I think we're going to start seeing that more and more as time goes on, because there is a fear of this information getting out there inadvertently because you just were a little lax in some of the permissions that they defaulted to.
Right. And I think that one of the other things that's going to drive this is that people really resent having to opt out of something that they never consented to sign up for in the first place. And it's usually buried deep in like these 3-page user agreements and very tiny legalese that by signing up and accepting this, you're proving all of this stuff, and it's up to you to figure out what you don't want. I think we need to dial that back and tell these companies, no, everything going forward is opt-in. And yet that's very tough for lawmakers to do, because we see that in government and in a lot of government agencies, certain things have been made opt-out instead of opt-in. For example, when they were setting up this new power cooperative here on the Central Coast as an alternative to, say, the investor-owned utility PG&E, you would automatically be switched into that service unless you specifically opted out. And this was set up by government to do that. And because, why? Because they wanted automatically to have a customer base. But I think that to really empower the individual and to give people the real choice and the opportunity to fully understand what's going on, all of these things, the real default needs to be to opt in, not to opt out.
Right, absolutely. And I think that if you are concerned, you should review all of your privacy settings in places like your social media accounts and 23andMe or any other services that you subscribe to, because I think you'd be surprised at how open your accounts are compared to what you think they are.
Right, exactly. All right, that's Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, joining us today on Power Talk Radio. Online, it's alvareztg.com. On the X platform, formerly Twitter, it's at AlvarezTG. And Luis, the toll-free number for the I-Team.
Give us a call at 866-78-I-TEAM. That's 866-784-8326.